Elias Thorne stepped into Sterling Trust, a monument to generational wealth and exclusivity. He was poised to finalize a $5 billion investment through his tech firm, Zenith Innovations, a deal months in the making. Dressed in a tailored suit, he carried a sleek attaché holding the investment documents. This partnership had the potential to redefine both his company and the bank's standing in the innovation space. But from the moment he entered, something felt off. The polished marble lobby was pristine, yet unwelcoming. The receptionist glanced at him, hesitated, then returned to her screen. Elias cleared his throat and calmly confirmed his 10 a.m. appointment. She gave a short nod, but said nothing about delays or directions. He sat and waited. Minutes dragged by. Clients arrived after him, some greeted with hugs, others ushered into meetings within seconds. Elias remained seated. No greeting, no acknowledgement, just silence. It wasn't the first time he'd sensed quiet prejudice, but this wasn't subtle. It was strategic exclusion. Sterling Trust had courted him for weeks. Now, at the moment of commitment, they were ignoring him. At 10:35 a.m., he stood and returned to the desk. "I had a scheduled meeting with branch manager Finch," he said calmly. "Is there a delay?" The receptionist replied without looking up. "Our advisors are meeting with priority clients at the moment." It was a sentence delivered with surgical indifference. Elias said nothing. He simply returned to his seat, observing as another man entered. Loud, flashy, unmistakably self-assured. The receptionist lit up. "Mr. Vance, what a pleasure," she exclaimed. No ID check, no waiting. Moments later, Alistair Finch himself emerged from his office to welcome Reginald Vance, leading him into a glass-walled conference room complete with coffee, pastries, and a team of advisors. That was it. Elias understood exactly what was happening. The message was clear. In Sterling Trust's world, appearances spoke louder than assets. He stood again, this time walking directly toward the manager's suite. The receptionist tensed, but said nothing. Elias opened the door just as Finch finished seating Vance. The laughter and privilege hanging in the air stopped. Finch's smile vanished. "Mr. Thorne," he said, tone clipped, "I'm afraid that opportunity has already been committed." Elias didn't blink. He placed his attaché on the table, opened it, and slowly revealed a $5 billion cashier's check. Finch's eyes flicked toward it, then back to Elias. "This was yours," Elias said quietly, his voice calm but unmistakably resolute. "Until 5 minutes ago." Gasps echoed from a nearby office. A junior associate who had previously pitched Elias turned pale. Silence enveloped the room. Without another word, Elias closed the case, turned, and walked out. His assistant, Clara, who had watched from the sidelines in growing disbelief, followed silently. The moment they exited, the silence broke into chaos. The very next day, a bystander posted a video clip of the confrontation. It showed the dismissal, the indifferent staff, and Elias's measured exit after revealing the $5 billion check. Within hours, it spread across social media like wildfire. By the end of the week, #BankingWhileExcluded was trending globally. People were outraged. Journalists uncovered similar incidents involving Sterling Trust. Former employees came forward with stories of bias and discriminatory practices. Several influential clients terminated their accounts. Within a month, the bank lost over $2 billion in value. But Elias remained silent. He gave no interviews, made no public accusations. Instead, he directed his energy into launching the Equitrust Initiative, a platform designed to support minority-owned businesses seeking access to capital. Without the gatekeeping, he didn't seek revenge. He sought accountability. And yet, behind closed doors, Sterling Trust Board was in panic mode. Executives were replaced. Internal investigations launched. PR firms were hired to salvage the damage. But the stain wouldn't fade. The viral clip continued to circulate. Universities studied it. Civil rights organizations cited it. Lawmakers referenced it. One moment of quiet discrimination had become a catalyst for national reckoning. But the story wasn't over. Weeks later, Elias received a package, an embossed envelope bearing the Sterling Trust seal. Inside was a formal letter an apology signed by the newly appointed CEO. It contained an offer, a private meeting, a donation to the Equitrust initiative, and a request to move forward. Elias stared at the letter, then passed it to Clara without a word. She read it, then looked up. "What are you thinking?" He didn't answer right away. Outside his office window, the city buzzed with the energy of change. Messy, imperfect, but undeniable. "Let's see if they're ready to really move forward," he finally said. But as Elias prepared for that next meeting, one he hadn't yet decided to accept, another message arrived. One he wasn't expecting. It would change everything again. Elias Thorne didn't walk away in anger. He walked away with purpose. Rather than seek revenge against Sterling Trust, he redirected his energy into creating something lasting. The Financial Equity Initiative. With an initial commitment of $10 million from his personal fortune, Elias funded independent audits of financial institutions nationwide. The mission was clear: uncover discriminatory practices and hold powerful banks accountable. No more polite conversations behind closed doors. This was about exposure, transparency, and justice. The public took notice. So did the industry. As Sterling Trust scrambled to contain the fallout, Elias's company, Zenith Innovations, experienced a dramatic surge in attention. Clients, investors, and even global partners gravitated toward the firm, not just because of its innovative products, but because of its integrity. People respected Elias's calm strength, the way he turned personal humiliation into a larger movement. He hadn't just taken a stand. He'd created a ripple effect. Meanwhile, Sterling Trust was sinking. Within weeks of the viral incident, their stock dropped by nearly 40%. Wealthy clients quietly withdrew funds. Board members resigned. Investigations were launched. The once impenetrable walls of the institution cracked wide open. Alastair Finch, the branch manager who had sneered at Elias, was swiftly terminated. His dismissal letter leaked to the press, an empty attempt at damage control. As if that wasn't enough, Reginald Vance, the man who'd been ushered into the meeting meant for Elias, was later exposed in a major fraud scandal. He had no legitimate funds to invest. His charm had been a mask, and the bank had fallen for it. In doing so, they'd pushed away the real deal. The irony was bitter and public, but for Elias, this was never about personal victory. It was about principles. Respect, he said in a rare interview, isn't about wealth, race, or prestige. It's about how you treat people when you think no one's watching. And people were watching now. Other banks, wary of becoming the next Sterling Trust, began reassessing their practices. Quiet meetings turned into bold reforms. New training programs were introduced. AI-based client systems were restructured to flag bias in decision-making. Some institutions even partnered directly with the Financial Equity Initiative to review their internal operations. For the first time in decades, change didn't just feel possible. It was happening. That Elias's stand had sparked a movement. What began as a single moment of disrespect in a high-rise lobby became a landmark shift across an entire industry. His story was shared in business schools, diversity training programs, and keynote speeches. Not because he was a billionaire, but because he refused to be silent, and still, Elias never gloated. He didn't speak poorly of the bank that wronged him. He didn't need to. They had destroyed themselves. In one final blow to Sterling Trust, a class action lawsuit was filed by former clients and employees who had experienced similar discrimination. The bank settled for hundreds of millions, quietly, of course, but the damage to their name was permanent. Elias, however, moved forward. He expanded his initiative globally. He funded scholarships for underrepresented students pursuing finance and technology. He became a symbol not of wealth, but of wisdom, not of success, but of significance. He never sought fame. He sought fairness. And in doing so, he reminded the world of something too often forgotten. Real power doesn't come from money. It comes from character. The story of Elias Thorne wasn't about bringing down a bank. It was about building something greater in its place, a legacy of equity, a blueprint for justice, and a future where no one would be dismissed based on how they look when they walk through the door.